George Stephanopoulos and President Joe Biden in conversation. Well, you would be forgiven if you expected something substantive, if you expected Joe Biden to answer something with any sense of honesty, or if you expected George Stephanopoulos not only to stop repeating the same question over and over again, but actually to follow up and challenge some of the many Joe Biden lies. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC TV, and sure, ABC News talking head George Stephanopoulos has been a long-time Clinton pal, having worked in Bill's presidential campaign and been cited as managing so-called bimbo eruptions to decrease their visibility in the press or cast aspersions on the women who have alleged Bill Clinton victimized them. And sure, he went through the hyper-fast revolving door between federal government offices and pop so-called news media, but perhaps you hoped that the simple prospect of Stephanopoulos being under the spotlight following Joe Biden's abysmal performance in his June 27th so-called debate with Donald Trump, well, that it might inspire Stephanopoulos to cast off his leftist lethargy, maybe to ask some tough questions and follow up with probing questions should Biden obfuscate or tell falsehoods. Yes, you might be forgiven if you held on to any semblance of hope. And yes, you possibly were not just disappointed, but stunned by George's pathetic exchange with the obviously troubled president. Because not only did he essentially repeat the same question over and over, as if expecting Biden to respond with a modicum of honesty about his own liabilities and weaknesses, Stephanopoulos allowed Biden to repeatedly lie without citing or questioning any of the falsehoods. Now, that second facet of the interview I think is most important, but let's take the nearly 30-minute petting session from front to back. And by the way, this is one of the few interviews I watched on 1.5 speed. And if you missed it, you might want to up the tempo as well. First, we have the single, solitary focus of George's questions. And one doesn't have enough fingers to count the number of times he asked it, rephrased it, pressed it, and seemed to welcome the same one-note answer every time.
Did you ever watch the debate afterwards?
I don't think I did, no.
One would assume that Biden would know whether he watched it or he didn't watch it, and that might indicate a problem to the interviewer. But Stephanopoulos acts as if he hasn't heard what Biden just said. He never asks Joe what he means by, "I don't think I did." He never asks, "Are you telling me you're not certain of your memory?" No. George marches on, unfazed and unperturbed, repeatedly asking Biden to tell him if he's okay.
Was this a bad episode or the sign of a more serious condition?
George appears oblivious to the fact that most people with memory problems, well, they deny the problem. But more objectionable than Stephanopoulos' insufferable one-note question concert is the fact that he never challenged Biden on any single one of his lies. Let's take just three as examples. First, at about 4 minutes into the chat, Biden claims,
I also was the guy who put together a peace plan for the Middle East that may be coming to fruition.
Well, curiously, the peace plan to which he evidently refers is the so-called plan that he just 2 weeks ago claimed was produced by the Israeli government. A lie that was exposed by Israel, especially when Benjamin Netanyahu's own government rejected it. In other words, Biden already has claimed it was from Israel. Israel rejected it. Biden now claims it was his proposal, contradicting his earlier claim, and that it may come to fruition, even though Israel already rejected it. Yeah, well, you know, some form of peace plan might come to fruition, but it won't be this plan, regardless of whatever political witch doctors cooked it up. And Biden then takes credit.
Today, just announced 200,000 new jobs. We're moving in a direction that no one's ever taken on.
Well, that's not the entire labor report picture. And having worked for a president, and one might think, possessing the ability to read, George Stephanopoulos likely knows that Biden is not offering the whole picture. As Craig Bannister reports for MRC-TV, the June unemployment rate was the highest since November of 2021. Quote, June's unemployment rate rose to the highest monthly level in 31 months, hitting 4.1%, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, reported Friday. June's seasonably adjusted 4.1% unemployment rate wasn't just up from May's 4.0 level, it was also the highest monthly unemployment rate since November of 2021, which was 4.1%. And Craig adds, quote, meanwhile, BLS revised downward the number of jobs created in April and May by a combined 110,000. As a result, the previously reported job growth in May was lowered by 54,000, down from a robust 272,000 to 218,000. Despite the downward revision for May, June's job growth of 206,000 still slowed from the previous month, end quote. And to put a fine point on it, Craig observes, quote, the number of unemployed people rose to 6.8 million, up from 6.6 million in May. Both the unemployment rate and number of unemployed in June are higher than a year before, when the jobless rate was 3.6% and the number of unemployed people was 6 million, end quote. Any pushback from Stephanopoulos when Biden attempts to congratulate himself by hiding the rest of the employment figures? Oh, no, of course not. The exchange marches on, treading the same repeat the question pattern and offering nothing of substance. So yes, folks can be forgiven if they'd hoped for more and they were disappointed. But perhaps now many people have learned. They've learned not to expect much from pop journalists. And they've learned not to expect the truth from Joe Biden. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please like and subscribe. Follow us over at Rumble, where they don't censor MRC TV. And of course, if you are on YouTube, check us out there and double check that you're subscribed. Of course, you can find us all the time at mrctv.org. That's mrctv.org. Check out the great fundraiser going on over there and check out the MRC TV store. There's always great stuff over there. You can find us on TikTok, on Instagram, inside Facebook, and on X. And if you want to follow me on Gab, I'm at Gardner Goldsmith on Gab, and on X, I'm at Gard Goldsmith. Thanks so much for watching. Please share the videos. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.
I want to invite you as my guest on a very special, once-in-a-lifetime, 7-day post-election cruise in the Caribbean. It's going to be a blast.